If your child's internal weather is hitting a Category 5 hurricane today, would you even know? Or would you miss it? Traditional parenting was about keeping kids alive. Modern parenting is about keeping them human. They are hyper-connected, but emotionally they are stranded. Without EQ, IQ is just a social weapon. If IQ is the engine of the car, then EQ is the driver. Compliance is not emotional intelligence. Usually, it's just internalizing feelings or seeking validation elsewhere. If you meet their rage with your rage, you spike their vital signs. I just go and sit next to them. I don't always say anything, I just wait. Stop looking at the growth chart and start looking at the heart. Hello and welcome back to Talking Teens Official. I'm Nural and thank you for joining me and for your listening ears. I want to start today with a little bit of a shocking truth. In 2026, we are the most data-driven parents in human history. And let me tell you, we feel it in the classroom as teachers. We track our children's heart rates with their watches, their nutrition with apps, and their sleep cycles with absolute precision. We have more biological data on our kids than any generation before us. But here's the irony from the staff room. We are ignoring the most critical health metric of all. Traditional parenting was about keeping kids alive. Modern parenting is about keeping them human. We are preparing them for a world of AI and algorithms. Yet we are still using growth charts from the 1990s to decide if they are fine. It is time to move beyond biology. If your child's internal weather is hitting a Category 5 hurricane today, would you even know? Or would you miss it because they're sitting there quietly, wearing the right uniform and getting the right grades? Think back to last week's episode with Asher. On paper, at 14, he was a biological success. Top-tier school, perfect uniform, physically safe, but while the adults were looking at his growth chart, they missed the fact he was emotionally flatlining from 80 years of bullying. In 2026, physical survival is the easy part. It's the psychological survival that we are failing at. And today, we're defining the new vital sign. So let's get into it. Traditional parenting focus on physical safety. Are they fed? Are they at school? Are they safe? But in 2026, the digital landscape, that is no longer enough. Research proves that high IQ and physical health are no longer enough to guarantee success in our complex world. We must pivot toward emotional intelligence as the definitive diagnostic tool for resilience. Why? Because the modern vital sign isn't height or weight. It's the ability to navigate a world dominated by AI-driven social pressures and rapid change. In the staff room, I see the kids who are physically perfect but are emotionally in a cardiac arrest. Emotional resilience is the ultimate competitive advantage for the next generation. If they can't regulate, then they physically can't compete. So let's actually define what we're measuring. We use the term emotional intelligence or EQ all the time. But what does it look like in your living room on a Tuesday afternoon? Psychologist Daniel Goleman famously broke down EQ into 5 different pillars. If IQ is the engine of the car, then EQ is the driver. You can have a Ferrari engine, but if the driver is blindfolded and panicking, he's still going to crash. Let's look at these 5 pillars through a staff room lens, if you like. The first pillar is self-awareness. It's like the internal weather report. This is the foundation. It is the ability to recognize an emotion as it happens. In the classroom, I see kids who are snapping at their friends and they have no idea why. They just feel bad or annoyed. A teenager with a high EQ can look inside and say, I feel like I'm getting annoyed. I feel my chest tightening. My panic button is being pressed. I'm overwhelmed by this maths task. It's the shift from being in the storm to being the observer of the storm. If they can't name it, then they can't tame it. The second pillar is self-regulation, or the volume knob. This is what most parents are desperate for. It's the ability to manage your impulses. It's the pause between the feeling and the reaction. High EQ doesn't mean they don't get angry. It just means they don't let anger drive the car. It's the difference between a police officer, if you like, who reacts with immediate force and punishment, and a captain of a ship who feels the waves but keeps the ship still on course. It's knowing how to turn the volume down on a rage before it comes a blowout. The third pillar is actually empathy, the compassion compass. This is the ability to see the world through someone else's eyes. In 2026, this is a dying art. We are raising kids in a digital echo chamber where it is easy to cancel or block someone instead of understanding them. Empathy is what Ash's parents missed from last episode. They saw a kid who wasn't fighting back and assumed he was being a good Christian. They didn't have the compassion compass to see the internal trauma of a bullied child. Empathy is seeing the flinch before the fight. The fourth pillar is social skills. This is pure interpersonal effectiveness. It's reading the room. We see this in group work, in the schools, in the classrooms all the time. The high EQ kid knows how to build a bridge instead of a wall. They know how to handle a disagreement without destroying the relationship. They are the ones who are working in groups and the ones who are doing all the talking and bringing everyone together. They are the safe harbours, if you like, in their friend groups because people feel seen and heard around them. They have the skill of connection over correction in real time. Pillar 5 is internal motivation. This is the big shift. Most kids are externally motivated. They do the work to get the grade or to get the reward or to avoid a fine, if you like, or getting in trouble. But high EQ kids have an internal drive. They want to improve because they value their own growth. They are the architects of their own resilience. They aren't looking for validation elsewhere. They are finding it within themselves. Now, because we have to distinguish between the hardware and the operating system, this is where the diagnosis can get a little bit tricky. I want you to think of IQ, or intelligence quotient, as the hardware. It's the logical reasoning and the memory. I see a dangerous pattern here in the staff room. And it is this. It's hardware without a filter. I often see brilliant, high IQ kids in the classroom who have absolutely no filter. They will loudly call another student dumb across the room just for asking a simple question because they get it instantly. And they often have no humility for those who don't. They put themselves on a pedestal sometimes, totally unaware of the social wreckage they are causing or leaving behind. Without EQ, IQ is just a social weapon. These kids appear detached or aloof, and they underestimate the emotional impact they have on others. Not all kids do that, but quite a few when they are feeling like they are smart. Bubba, just delete that bit. EQ is the operating system. Research by Talent Smart shows that IQ might open the door to a job, but EQ keeps it open. EQ accounts for 58% of performance across all jobs. In 2026, the hardware is becoming the commodity. AI can do the logic, but the operating system, that is purely human. I'm going to do that sentence again. In 2026, the hardware is becoming a commodity. AI can do the logic, but the operating system, that's purely human. And then there's the second trap, the compliance false positive. Parents often think of an obedient kid who turns the other cheek as having high emotional intelligence. But compliance is not emotional intelligence. Usually, it's just internalizing feelings or seeking validation elsewhere, allowing your child to feel and helping them label those feelings isn't being a woke parent. It's building emotional literacy. If we force compliance without understanding, we are just forcing them to hide their true vital signs until they explode, exactly like Asha did last episode. Compliance is about the parent's comfort. You look good. You feel better if they're compliant. But EQ is about the child's character. This shift is harder than ever because of the world our kids are living in. In 2026, we are dealing with synthetic social interactions. When teenagers socialize more online than in real life, they lose their physical empathy cues. They can't see a flinch or a sigh or an eye roll or the shaking hands over a text message. This creates a massive literacy gap. If they can't see the emotion in others, they struggle to label it themselves. And the same goes for adults. If you can't see the emotion in others when they read your email or read your text message, then you can't label it or know what impact it's truly having on someone else. This lack of emotional training is why we see such high levels of youth isolation. They are hyper-connected, but emotionally they are stranded. They are socializing, but they're practicing a version of empathy that actually has no heart. So if the digital world is stripping away their ability to regulate, who's going to provide the rhythm? This is the core of the work. It isn't just parenting advice. It's actually brain science. Through a process called co-regulation, your emotional state acts as a biological pacemaker for your child. And this is exactly what I work with in my school community with parents who do a one-on-one program with me. So if you're really interested in learning more about this stuff, then I encourage you to join my school community and look me up and I'll help you with that. So this process called co-regulation, where your emotional state acts as a biological pacemaker for your child, their brain literally looks to your nervous system to figure out if they're safe or not. When they are exploding, they are looking for a steady rhythm from you. If you meet their rage with your rage, you spike their vital signs. There's a bit of a mirror that gets held up. But if you stay in your safe harbor state, if you can be the captain while they are the storm, their brain will eventually sync with yours. You are literally building their neural pathways for self-regulation every single time you stay calm when they are messy. You are teaching them how to be human in a synthetic world. So how do we start measuring and improving these vital signs today? There's a few things you can do and a few actionable strategies. The first one, and this is what I use in the classroom a lot, you need to practice the art of the silent wait. Sometimes the best way to check in on a kid's vital signs isn't to ask a question. In the classroom, when I see a kid who is internalizing, I just go and sit next to them. I don't always say anything, I just wait. I'm being the safe harbor. Your presence is the diagnostic tool. The second thing you can do is kind of a little bit of a yard chat, if you like, the low stakes proximity. Don't try to have a deep conversation with them when they are peopled out. Catch them in the yard or while you are driving or side by side, lowers the pressure and allows the real vitals to surface. The third thing you can do, again, I've spoken about this many times before, stop asking them how was school. You could ask them, what's the internal weather today? Help them name the feeling to tame the feeling. The fourth thing you can do, validate the feeling, not the fact. When they say, you never listen to me, don't argue with the facts. Just say, I can see you're telling me that you're feeling ignored right now. You don't have to agree with their version to validate the reality of the pain. Such an important tool. The fifth thing you can do is model vulnerability. Let them see your pacemaker in action. I'm feeling really frustrated right now, so I'm just going to take 5 minutes, is all you need to say. You are teaching them self-regulation by doing it, not by just saying it. Before I leave you today, let's just do a quick teacher-style recap of the new health chart. First, we went through the survival shift, where I asked you to stop parenting from the 1990s, because in 2026, keeping them human is the primary goal. The second thing I spoke about was the IQ trap, remembering that a high IQ is just hardware. Arrogance and no filters are red flags for their emotional operating system that is quietly crashing. The third thing we talked about was this compliance myth, where I don't want you to be fooled by the quiet kid. If they are internalizing their pain to please you, it means their vitals are in the red. The fourth thing I spoke about was the pacemaker, you being the biological stabilizer. Your calm is the medicine that builds their brain, that little bit of neuroplasticity. And finally, the connection. Using the silent wait and sometimes the most important diagnostic work that happens when you don't say a thing at all. To wrap this up, emotional intelligence is not just a soft skill, it's the definitive diagnostic tool for the 2026 generation. So stop looking at the growth chart and start looking at the heart. The best part, unlike IQ, which is predominantly fixed or mostly where it's at, EQ is a muscle. Every time you practice emotional intelligence, like the silent wait or choose connection over correction, you are making that muscle stronger for both you and your kid. I want to hear from you. Have you tried the silent wait this week? Did you manage to sit in that storm without becoming the police officer? Come and share your internal weather reports with me in my school community. I invite you to join. It is currently free for you to join, but it's not going to stay free forever. It's where we turn this theory into real-world connection with our parents in that community. And if you found real value in today's diagnostic check, please consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes, and every cup helps keep those staff room secrets coming. Thanks for listening. I'm Nural. Remember that focus, connection over correction,